Hi everyone, in this video we shall deal with education, a part of education psychology, the growth and development, an inevitable part in every human to become as a complete citizen or socially acceptable human. Growth. Growth is something that keeps on changing until we reach maturation. Growth refers to changes in human weight, height and structure. Disappearance of old features and acquisition of new ones. Growth refers to an increase in physical size of the whole body or any of its parts. It is simply a quantitative change in the child's body. It can be measured in kgs, pounds, meters, inches, etc. According to Crow and Crow, growth refers to structural and psychosocial changes. Development. Considering the development, it begins from the birth until death. It is a continuous process where accumulation of knowledge takes place. Development refers to a continuous process of changes through which task managing abilities of the individual are polished, resulting in experiences and learning. According to Herlock, 1959, progressive series of changes that occur in an orderly, predictable pattern as a result of maturation and experience. Growth and development. We shall see what is the relationship here between growth and development in composing a human being as a whole. The combined effect of growth and development builds a human as a complete personality. It is a team effort. It could be said as a team effort as growth and development complement each other. A social being who can interact, communicate feelings, thoughts and work with a team effort for a social group development as well as self-development. What is the difference between growth and development? Growth is considered to be qualitative, whereas development is quantitative. Objectively observed and measured is the condition for growth, whereas the development cannot be measured. It differs individual to individual. Principles of development. Principles of continuity. The development is a continual process until it reaches maturity and then decreases as maturity is being attained. The development follows the principles of continuity, which means that development is a continuous process. It starts with prenatal and ends with death. Educational implication instead of these principles is we should never give up our efforts to achieve perfection in our students in different dimensions. Principle of integration. Development thus involves a movement from the whole to parts and from parts to the whole. And this way it is the integration of the whole and it is a part as well as the specific and general responses. It enables a child to develop satisfactorily in relation to various aspects or dimensions of his personality. For example, a child first starts to learn hand movement, then finger movement, and then learn the movement of both hand and finger together. This is called integration, through which the child recognizes how to grab hold things. Educational implication based on this principle of integration is it helps us to plan the learning process and arrange suitable learning experiences so as to achieve maximum gains in terms of growth and development. The third comes the principle of lack of uniformity in the developmental rate. Development through the continuous process but does not exhibit steadiness and uniformity in terms of rate of development in various development of personality or in the developmental periods and changes of life. Every individual predicts this ununiform growth and developmental stages. Each individual has varied rate of acquisition of knowledge. Keeping this principle on example, a person may have a high rate of growth and development in terms of height and weight, but may not have the same phase of mental and social development. Here, the physical development is not directly proportionate to the moral or cognitive development of an individual. Principle of individual difference. Every organism is a distinct creation itself. One of the most important principles of development is that it involves individual differences. There is no fixed rate of development. All children will learn to walk ends universal, but the time at which each child takes his or her first step may vary. It depends upon the stability or the strengthening of their legs and muscles. Educational implication in terms of this principle is each child should be helped along the developmental process within the sphere of his or her own strength and limitations. That is, each child has their own takes their own time to learn the similar concepts. Principle of uniformity pattern. Although developmental does not process at a uniform rate and shows marked individual differences with regard to the process and outcome of various stages of development, it follows a definite pattern in one or the other dimension, which is uniform and universal with respect to the individual of a species. This principle could be applied in education as a child follow the uniformity of pattern. So, we should also follow the relevant pattern to ensure and enhance the learning. For example, a child may learn better when they have perceptual view of a content. The other child may read the same content or perceive the same content by hearing or reading. So we need to identify those patterns and implement in teaching strategies. Principle of proceeding from general to specific. While developing in relation to any aspect of personality, the child first picks up or exhibits a general response and learn how to show specific and goal-oriented responses afterwards. For instance, when a newborn infant cries, his whole body is involved in doing so. As he develops, it is limited to the vocal cords, facial expressions, and eyes. The education implication of this principle is that it helps us to plan the learning process and arrange suitable learning experiences so as to achieve maximum gains in terms of growth and development. That is, each stage it has its own learning phase. So each phase has its own content delivery and strategies to be followed. Those strategies need to be identified and clubbed together to give better learning experiences. Principle of interrelation involves active interaction between the forces within the individual and forces belong to his environment. Individual behavior or personality makeup is nothing but an end product of the constant interaction between hereditary and endowment and environmental setup. The education implication of this principle is that heredity is a factor which we cannot control, but as far as environmental factor is concerned, we should provide such an environment that is conducive to learning. Proper infrastructural facilities and proper comfortableness should be provided to students to take up the education with ease. Principles of cephalocaudal and proximodistal. According to cephalocaudal tendency, development proceeds from head to foot direction. For instance, baby first gains control over head and arms and then on his legs. According to proximodistal tendency, development proceeds from middle to outward. Child is seen to exercise control over the large fundamental muscles of arms and legs and then muscles of fingers. These two properties, though perceived as straight opposite to each other, is implemented in education as follows. It helps us to arrange the suitable learning experiences, process and environmental setup so as to accommodate the students. Either the curriculum should be in spiral format or in concentric circles, depending upon the content that is to be delivered. Principle of predictability. With the help of the uniformity of the pattern and sequence of development, we can predict the future development. For example, with the knowledge of the development of bones of a child, it is possible to predict his future structure and size. In education, it is applied as this knowledge helps the teacher that what is expected in terms of development, so she can plan accordingly to achieve it by organizing the experiences received from each stages. Principle of spiral versus linear advancement. The child doesn't proceed straight on the path of development with a constant or steady pace. Actually, he makes advancement during a particular period but takes rest in the next following period to consolidate his development. In advancing further, therefore, he turns back and then makes forward again like a spiral. This principle is applied as to make adequate arrangement for the subsequent progress and consolidation of the progress. To be very clear, the recalling concept of already taught content need to be implemented before going or entering into new content that is to be introduced to the children. Principle of association of maturation and learning. Biological growth and development are known as maturation. Biological changes involves changes in the brain, the nervous system, which provide new abilities to a child. Development proceeds from simple to complex. In the beginning, a child learns through concrete objects and gradually moves to abstract thinking. This transition happens because of the maturation. In educational process, this maturation needs to be considered before going on to the hierarchy of learning. Let us see an overview of the factors that influence development. The innate factors such as genetic endowment, parental environment, temperament, and the environmental factors such as nutrition of the child, housing, medical care, basic safety, education, and family support. These things could be dealt with in the next video. Any queries or any any clarifications could be explained through the description. Can be put in the description. Any questions could be put in the description and it would be clarified at timely basis. Thank you.